Hello, here we are with round 2 of Hardened Scales. We'll see if we can do just as well in our previous round as we do in this round. My opponent was asking if I was streaming today, but looks like I'm not because I'm just making some YouTube content for you guys. Yep. Seems like he's a fan of the stream, so hopefully he'll be a fan of losing to me. So this hand is like pretty great. We get to lead on a Hardened Scales. It's possible we were supposed to play out the Welling Jar, but I want them to possibly leave up a... he said he is blaming someone for his deck list today. So we'll see what his deck list is. It's leading off with Scalding Tarn, Mountain, Swiss Spear. Oh, I think he's playing Burn, I would have to presume. Let's lead on Welding Jar, Mox Opal, and... what do we want to do here? I think I'm actually going to end up leading on Hangerback Walker here. I'm more than willing to use a Welding Jar on it. I think it's important to use to get up to a 4/4 Hangerback Walker, and we'll just take the damage that we take from the Swiss Spear, and then we can get the Steel Overseer down, either making them feel like they need to use a rule spell on it, which I'm fine. Okay, Searing Blade is a little bit rough, but we do get to Welling Jars, so we're going to go up to a 4/4 for next turn. Another Welling Jar is nice. Play out the Peatland. I think we can sack this now. Another Welding Jar is not too bad either. Sucks is that we can't activate our Hangerback Walker here, which may have been a misstep by me. It was actually a clear misstep, I would say. So I think we're going to be blocking and then using Welding Jar more than likely. Our Hangerback Walker... that was a pretty big misstep. I think I was just playing a little bit too quickly, to be completely honest. But with the second Welding Jar, it doesn't punish us all that much. We'll see what my opponent ends up doing here. I may, depending on what they do, be blocking the Steel Overseer and using Welding Jar. But I think that is unlikely. Rather just use the Hangerback Walker, force them to use a spell of some sort, either on it or on something else. Not quite sure what my opponent will end up doing here. They're definitely thinking for a good long bit. Okay, they ended up having a land here. Maybe playing mono red burn, because they ended up getting mountains pretty quickly. Let's see what they end up doing. Still thinking for a big chunk of time. What are they thinking about? What are they thinking about? Okay, they decided to go to combat. So let's block with Hangerback Walker here. It's also reasonable for us to just let the damage happen. So let's see, Searing Blaze there. It's Welding Jar. I think I'm actually fine with letting the damage happen. Getting some big Thopters and then using Steel Overseer to make them bigger. And then using Welding Jar to save our Steel Overseer down the line as well if necessary. We'll just use the Thopters to end up blocking. Hopefully we can draw something like a Walking Ballista that makes it so we can get aggressive with our Thopters. But that's no guarantee. It's pretty unfortunate that our opponent got to draw double Searing Blaze. I think that's the best card for them in Game 1, certainly. Maybe not Game 2 and 3 with Destructive Revelry or Wear and Tears post-board, but certainly Game 1 Searing Blaze is one of the best cards that they can have. Let's see what my opponent ends up doing here. They have an effect on the upkeep. No, that's actually a pretty nice draw. This makes it so we can lead with Steel Overseer activation here. And then use our animation module to create chump blockers for this Monastery Swift Spear. And allows our Thopters to go get aggressive. This potentially sets up a kill for next turn if we draw anything like a Arcbound Ravager, or if we draw anything like a Walking Ballista, possibly as well. These servos get to save us a good chunk of life with this Swift Spear in play now. We'll see how our opponent's draw ends up lining up against ours, and if it's something that they can deal with the board state that we've come up with. It's definitely fair to say that they have 5 cards in hand. They could be a lot of burn spells, and we could just be dead here pretty quickly. But it's not clear what exactly they have or what exactly they're doing just yet. Searing Blaze, while primarily a burn focus card, he did say his deck list, he blames a different player that has been known to play some wonky deck lists. Tangrand is the name for the man who usually plays some wonky deck lists and does incredibly well with them. So we'll see. And I know Archangelic also plays some out there deck lists, but it does seem like he's just playing straight up burn, but we haven't seen any other colors, and with the triple fetch land, we're not sure if he even is playing any colors necessarily. He could just be playing them for landfall triggers for the Searing Blaze itself. So we'll see what our opponent ends up doing here. Really tanking on their turns, which makes me think that they could have some like instant speed interaction, or they're thinking about killing these servos potentially with a card like Lava Dart, maybe. So they're going to combat. This is good for us. This means that we at least got to get a block off. Let's block the servo. See what their decisions are down the line. They maybe thought that we would double block, but there's no reasonable reason to double block because they could just have like any spell that would just demolish us. That would be pretty unfortunate. We do have lethal next turn with the Thopters as long as our Steel Overseer or something doesn't have to be Welding Jarred. Let's see what they have with this mana. The 3rd Searing Blaze. That's really unfortunate. We'll be using the Welding Jar here. Yeah, having 3 Searing Blazes is just the best possible things that they could have here, I believe. Just Shard Volley on that. That makes sense. They were dead if they did not do something along those lines. Let's use Animation Module here. Make a servo. Get in for 10 damage. Actually, that's only 8 damage, yes, sorry. For some reason I thought it was 10, but 8 damage here. Now they just have to have a flurry of burn spells at my face, and if they don't, then they will end up being dead to the Thopters in the air. So let's see what they can come up with. I assume that they're going to need a 3rd land of some sort, as there's no Fire Blast in this format or anything like that. The triple Searing Blaze was really, really powerful from them, but we, in response, had the triple Welding Jar along with the Hangerback Walker, which allowed us to create some flying attackers. The Steel Overseer to create a lot of value, and it seems like our opponent couldn't keep up, even with the triple Searing Blaze, and we picked up game 1. Here's a matchup where I just like bringing Nature's Claim, both for the fact that they could have some like wonky artifacts like Cinder Vines, but it also gains its life, especially being used to pop Hangerback Walkers or used on a Darksteel Citadel just a 1 mana gain for, which is usually good enough to take some gains here. Steel Overseer, while looking good in that game, I think is actually usually too slow. Scrapyard Recombiner also pretty slow. Throne of Geth has some situations where it can sacrifice a Hangerback Walker to get in the air later, as well as being able to sacrifice a not necessary artifact like Mox Opal to grow our other artifacts. So we're going to keep it in. Animation Module can create chump blockers, as well as pump our guys. So I think Steel Overseers and their Scrapyard Recombiners are truly the slowest cards here that are reasonable to cut. What do I think about this hand? I think we do have to keep this hand, even though it's like a little bit slow. We don't have a Hardened Scales. Our opponent seemed to mulligan to 6 and now to 5. So that puts us in a pretty good spot, as burn is more of a necessity to have a large amount of resources. Whereas our deck, if it has Hardened Scales and something like an Arcbound Ravager plus a Hangerback Walker and then 2 lands, very easily functioning off of a 5-card hand. Whereas even if they have Swift Spears, Searing Blaze, 2 lands, and a Boros Charm, that's still not quite enough to get to the finish line all by its own. So we'll see what our opponent leads on here. Probably Goblin Guide, Blood Crypt. Okay, it's good to see what other things they have. What do we want to do here? I feel like Animation Module is actually a fine start here, because of the fact that then we can go Arcbound Worker, make a servo, allow us to just start chump blocking the Goblin Guide. This Goblin Guide is going to get in a good 4 points of damage, which is unfortunate, but we're going to be able to chump block a lot very quickly. That Nature's Claim is going to be very important, I think, in gaining us some important life. So I actually like our position, seeing as they mulligan to 5. If they didn't mulligan to 5, I'd actually not like our position very much at all. We're going to play out the Arcbound Worker, get a token here, and we're going to pass the turn. We may actually just end up double blocking here, just to get the Goblin Guide off the battlefield. And if they do have a removal spell, we can use the Welding Jar at least on one of our creatures, and not lose out completely. Even though we would not end up killing the Goblin Guide. But we only did use 1 mana to get this servo, and losing out on both these creatures isn't the worst. We may just not even use our Welding Jar in the end. So let's see what our opponent ends up doing here. Makes it look like he has a lightning bolt of some sort, but oh, it looks like he doesn't actually. So we're not in the worst of spots anymore. I think I'm going to use Ancient Strength to try and find a land here. We whiffed on a land. It's interesting. So I think we're going to take Arcbound Worker, play it out, and then pass the turn again, as we can't really attack into Goblin Guide. We're just going to pass and then probably go for a triple block if he ends up attacking the next turn. This looks like Lightning Bolt on us. That's fair. And then pass the turn. We do still have this Nature's Claim, so we can gain a good chunk of life. Swift Spirit, that's fine. So our opponent doesn't really want to attack, as we can have pretty good blocks with them not having any mana open. Well, I do really like this Hardened Scales, but let's see. Yes, I'm actually going to lead on the Hardened Scales. It allows us to use the Arcbound Workers to put their counters on just like a servo or something, and use Welding Jar to protect it and make our blocks not look as bad. Though we are still choked up on mana, I really was looking to find a mana source with that Ancient Strength, especially with the animation module out, making it so we can use good use of our mana. Now, we're going to see what ends up happening from the fact that we don't have much mana and are choked up, and on green sources not allowing us to use a Nature's Claim in response to a removal spell. No attacks. That's more than acceptable for me. I'd like to draw mana here. That's nice. Now we can use Arcbound Ravager to great effect. Especially with Nature's Claim out. We'll see what removal spell they end up using, if any. I'm not going to end up making a token. I do want to leave up this Nature's Claim. I feel like we can't reasonably lose, at least in the next 4 cards that they have, while we have Nature's Claim up. So I like our position starting from this point on. They're going down to a pretty low life total. We're going to be able to use Walking Ballista plus Animation Module, or Inkmoth Nexus, or sorry, Walking Ballista, Animation Module, and Arcbound Ravager, or just Inkmoth Nexus and Arcbound Ravager plus these Arcbound Workers to be able to get a pretty clean combo kill on our opponent for the next couple turns. So now the Arcbound Ravager is going to be going up to a 4/4, the Arcbound Worker 3/3. I'm not going to do that. No, I am going to just use a Nature's Claim here. Just to gain 4 life right now. Make it so we don't lose to any shenanigans, and make it so our mana is inefficient. Just going to 11, I feel like we're in just a good spot in of itself right now. And we still have the Welding Jar to protect our Arcbound Ravager in case of a Shatter effect and Smash Smithereens or something like that. So I actually like our position still right now. My throat is feeling a little bit coarse, even though I haven't been talking all that much today. Just talking out through the deck tech as well as round 1 and round 2, just talking a lot. It really is starting to pay its toll right now. I may have to finish up this whole round in or this whole league in multiple goes. We'll have to see what ends up working out. Pete Land is a not bad draw here. Let's play out Walking Ballista. Let's pay for a token. Sacrifice here, put the counters here. Believe he's going to be on Slim Outs with the Welding Jar that we have now. So we're now up to 6 counters here. let's activate here, put it up to 8 counters. Sacrifice here, put it up to 10 counters. Sacrifice here, put the counters onto Walking Ballista. I believe we should have lethal here, especially with the Welding Jar activation backup. Being able to have the Arcbound Worker out there to make it so that we can put our Walking Ballista up to 6 counters before having to sack and go all in with the Arcbound Ravager, leaving us not dead to double bolt or like a Lightning Bolt plus a or just like a Destroy Artifact effect plus a bolt of some sort. With the Welding Jar out, I do feel like we secured ourselves the game with that effect. Destructive Revelry, destroy target artifact. Use Welding Jar here, and we should have the game locked up at that point. Yep. Yes, I would like to use Arcbound Ravager's ability. 17 counters, and then we can just shoot them with all the counters. Our opponent says GG, let's respond with GG, well played back. And we'll put all the counters, just holding priority the whole time, just making it easier for us. And he's conceded the game. Well, we got a quick 2-0 and 4-0 in both of our matches. Let's see if we can replicate this success going into our third match. And I'll see you there.